Okay. So when we talk about the client server model, we basically refer to a model where we have a central server, which is basically catering all the clients. Okay. Before I continue with this, I would like to show you this from my notes as well. I'll share this with you. Okay. The client server model basically is what that you have is a server that is connected to the World Wide Web, and all the computers which are over the World Wide Web are connected to this server. Now, it's a very simple concept. This server could be in a LAN, you know it. It could be in a WAN. A server basically means which is serving the clients. If you refer to other type of network types, what I mean by that, for example, if we talk about intranet and extranet, maybe we did talk about it. We did talk about that what intranet is or what extranet is. Last time, did we discuss this? The difference between these three. Did we or did we not?
We did.
We did, exactly. So could you like summarize it for us? How would you, because all this is really important for us to discuss. Can you meanwhile, Beta?
Sir, मुझे exactly
Achha, no problem. No problem. I will just do it again. I just want to show you a diagram. इससे आपको ज़्यादा अच्छा समझ आएगा. Just 1 second. Yes. Let me explain you through this first. I just want to show you one diagram. That's really important. Okay, basically, obviously, you have been studying this for a long time, since your middle school. You have a star topology, a bus topology, ring topology. This is your basically bus topology where computers are connected in a line, and you have two N nodes. Okay. Why do we need such kind of network topology? Because obviously, if we have less computers and you just want to attach them through a hub. Okay. So hub is not an expensive networking device. Switch is an expensive networking device. Switch has its own dedicated microprocessor, and it works through IP addressing. I'll try to speak slow because maybe you can't. Can you hear me clearly if I speak fast? You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So this is your bus, and ring will be, let's say, if you connect this end with this end, what will happen is you will convert into ring topology. Why am I explaining all this basic concept? Because if one of you doesn't know it, you should know it. So this brings us to the ring. Ring, again, does not have a centralized server. Bus doesn't have a centralized server. Both of these topologies, they basically use is a hub. When we talk about...
Sir?
Yes, Beta?
But
yes.
But bus network topology, aren't they connected to one link? तो centralized हो नहीं गया?
नहीं. Centralized का मतलब ये है कि there is no central server that is controlling all the computers like we have in the star. You have a switch, and the switch is connected to the server. You can assign rights. When you send data to one particular computer, you can send it to that particular computer because your switch works through an IP addressing. In case of a bus, in case of a ring, you are using is a hub. And if you send something to the computers, the data will go to all the computers. You don't have IP addresses in bus and ring. Keep that in mind. Okay, bus and ring are very seldomly used. Okay, yes, right. Okay, fine. Okay. So
bus और ring में difference क्या है?
बस और रिंग में सिर्फ ये फर्क है कि जो बस टोपोलॉजी है उसमें you just connect the computers in one line, and you have two N nodes. There's one N node in this part, and there's one N node. It's bound, the data bounces back. If in case this main line breaks down, these computers can communicate and these computers can communicate, but they can't communicate between. But in case of ring, what you do is these N nodes are joined together. It makes up a ring. Well, the point is, if you have a ring or a bus, both of them are used for small networks. Okay, where you just want the computers to be attached, you want different peripheral devices and scanners to be shared between the workstations. Okay, but when you want user rights to be defined, when you want
Sir, our school का जो ऊपर वाला lab है वो क्या bus topology?
no, come on, we are not that primitive. We have over there a star topology. Sir Khalil जहाँ बैठे होते हैं, he has a server. Do you see that big cabinet that we have? That big cabinet के अंदर हमारे पास server है. Okay, when you have user groups, you have username, password. When you're not allowed to change the desktop, when you are given specific amount of space that you can save on, this all happens through the server. The server gives the rights. Okay, right? अच्छा, ये हमारी इतनी लंबी डिस्कशन भी नहीं है इसके ऊपर, वो जाके P3 में होगी. So right now, all you should know is, I'll share these notes with you. You should obviously, it's a prerequisite for this course, that you should know what these topologies are. Topology, by the way, means the way you set up the computers, the way you arrange them is known as topology. And there are different ways through which you can connect the computers. This is what we're talking about. Okay. This is not discussed in the book, but I'm doing it right now because obviously it's a prerequisite. अच्छा, जो latest edition है उसमें उन्होंने discuss किया हुआ है. I don't have the PDF file of that right now, so I can't show it to you. So this is what you have. Okay, mostly the cabling that you use over here are twisted pair cables. We discussed it last time. Okay, bus mein you have terminators required for each end. Like someone was asking me what is the difference between your ring and bus. You have terminator which are used at both ends to terminate the signals, so that doesn't go back and just bounces back. So twisted pair cables or coaxials can be used in both of these cases. Okay, and even in star topology, you can use twisted pair cables or even fiber optics. Well, you obviously there's no harm in using fiber optic in bus and ring, but there's no point. There's no point of using it when you just have a few computers. Okay, so I actually wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about this. The internet basically is the world. You connect everyone. On the internet, you have everyone connected. Extranet, you have the suppliers and the partners connected, as well the company employees and all those people who work for the company. So if we talk about intranet, it's limited. Extranet is more extended, and internet is obviously for everyone. This is the basic difference between these three, right? Now, why am I referring to this? Well, because I wanted to discuss about server. So discussion started from server and see where I've gone. Well, if we talk about servers you will find in intranet, in extranet, and internet. Why? Because in intranet, you can have your own centralized server, and this server will be doing different things. It will be doing different mail serving jobs. It will be used as a file server, be used as a proxy server. This is what we are discussing right now. So let's go back and let's discuss it. So first of all, we have is the application server. Application server obviously is there to make different applications run on the server. These could be different applications that the users might be working on. Okay, web server basically is where your domain will be working. Now again, a different topic. What can happen is that we can set up our own web-based internet environment within LGS 1A1 building, and inshallah we're working on that. Me and Circle are working on that. What will be the advantage of that? The advantage of that is that we don't always have to go to the internet to access different information. For example, we can make a portal where teachers and students can share their resources, where teachers and students can communicate with different messaging, internal messaging, where teachers and students within the building, within the environment, they want to conduct video conferencing, let's say, for any means, I don't know, whatever is going on. For that, what we can do is we can have a web server. Now, this web server actually is not the World Wide Web. This is the internet web. Okay, इसके लिए we set up a local host. तो उस पोर्टल के अंदर आप जाओगे तो you will just remain within the school. Why? क्योंकि स्कूल में जो सर्वर है उसके अंदर ही आप ईमेल भेज सकोगे, उसके अंदर ही वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग कर सकोगे, उसके अंदर ही आप whatever you want to do, sort of communication, you'll do it. Okay, this will be the localhost web server. There are two different kinds of web servers: localhost web server, and then you have is an external server which is known as a remote server. अच्छा बेटा मैं I will be always be teaching you bit beyond the book as well. तो आप ये ज़हन में रखना. This is why I'm recording the lecture as well. Now, the remote server that we have, it's usually there right now. For example, we are communicating right now. How come we are communicating? Just think over it. Zoom का server जहाँ भी है इस वक्त, my data, my bits and bytes through TCP/IP are going to the Zoom server. Through the different IP configuration, it's being distributed to your IPs, and we are communicating. But this all is happening because we are indirectly or directly being in touch with your server. So when you visit any website, what you do is you get a copy from that server. You get a copy of that website from that server. Okay, right? You might have heard of a term which is known as DOS attack, denial of service attack. Ever heard of it?
No.
कई दफा होता है, मेरी वेबसाइट पे हो चुका है before the exam. I don't know who did it. होता ये है कि it's a way people can hack your website, and a denial of service is done. होता ये है कि you can actually create macros even in Excel. Macros are repetitive tasks that will be done again and again. मैं किसी दिन आपको create करके दिखाऊंगा, but please don't use it in the lab. What will happen is कि you can record every procedure that you're doing in Excel. Okay, बस macros are in every software. Excel में काफी dangerous macros बन सकते हैं. Why are we doing this? For example, let's say अभी right now मैं अपने computer पे if I start opening Photoshop, Premiere Pro, Animate, I open multiple softwares. There is always a limit that my computer can handle. There's a limited cache RAM over there. Eventually what will happen is it will not respond, because my computer right now is doing some particular services. These services are multitasking, but there's always a limit for that. So when I exceed that, my processor cannot respond, and it has to wait for a while unless until the buffer, the cache RAM is cleared up. This is an example of just my PC. If you take it online and if you talk about the server, the same thing happens on the server. When you go visit mrsyme.com, you are visiting, let's say 100 other people are visiting. So 101 people are visiting right now. Fine. So 101 people are getting a copy of different pages. When they visit a particular web page, you get a copy of that page to on your browser. Someone else gets another copy. Someone else gets a copy. Okay. Now this will be a very lengthy discussion, but we have to discuss all this. What happens now is that once you get a copy, there is always a limit of how much amount of data can be transferred per second. There are two concepts of bandwidth. Whenever you purchase a hosting pack, hosting basically means that you get a space in GBs, MBs, or whatever. Okay, you get it GBs, MBs from a server company, and they give you that. Fine. Apart from hosting, there is another thing which is known as web addressing. Web addressing means that your particular website will be given a particular IP address. Like, for example, my is this. Whenever I refer to this, I'm talking about my website, for example. Now, when we write, this is basically an alias that has been created to point to this following IP address. We will not every time tell someone that please visit the following IP address. No, people will not do that. They will not remember. So they just created different web address. At the back end, we have this. And whenever you basically develop a website, you have to upload that website. That website is uploaded on the server. That is the web server. And that web server company gives you a special hosting space, which is in 1 MB, 2 MB. Sorry, that was a long time back. 1 GB, 5 GB, 500 GB, whatever. The more space, the more you have to pay them per annum. This is how the web server companies earn a lot. It's very profitable business, because let's say if you purchase 1 terabyte of hard drive and you run a server, you can sell, let's say, 500 MB of hard disk space to multiple clients, and you can charge them on a monthly basis. This is what hosting companies do. Okay, so hosting companies, they have a web server where your website is basically registered, and it's addressed over there. So basically, when we talk about web server, this is what we mean: a server that hosts your website, and the client, when the client visits the web, will get a copy of that particular page and pages of the website. So this is what the web server does. I had to go through a long story to explain you what the web server is. I hope it's clear. And right now, the next is domain name server. What's domain name server? Domain name server basically, yes, DNS, domain name server. The server, my server, any server that will be defining my DNS, my domain name, which basically will be known as a domain name server. You get the point? Okay.
मुझे समझ नहीं आई.
Domain name server की.
समझ नहीं आई.
अच्छा, नहीं, DNS की. I'll tell you. Domain name server का मतलब ये है कि आपने किसी server पे you have done hosting, right? Okay, hosting तो आपने की हुई है. अब hosting के साथ साथ, hosting is just space. Don't you have to give an address of the server जिस पे आपकी files पड़ी हुई हैं? आपने files तो upload कर दी उस server पे ना? Now, what is the address of that server? आपको सर एड्रेस क्या मतलब? मैं कह रहा हूँ आईपी एड्रेस. अच्छा ठीक है, आईपी एड्रेस, यस, दिस इज द आईपी एड्रेस ऑफ द वेब सर्वर जहाँ पे मेरा वेबसाइट है. ओके फाइन. सो बेसिकली द आईपी एड्रेस नहीं होता, आईपी एड्रेस होता है, मगर दे एक्चुअली टेल यू द एलियस, द डोमेन नेम, like mrsaim.com is my domain name. So my domain name is basically pointing to an IP address, which is this one, which is mine. So domain name server is the server that has my domain name IP address, in simple words. Did you get the point now? Domain name server, right? इसको हम domain कहते हैं. When you go to serverc.com या कहीं भी जाते हो ना to purchase, तो क्या कहते हैं? They say, do you want to purchase a domain? So please, can we see any domain is present? Okay, let me show it to you. Look over here. I'll just show it to you. If we go to, as long as I don't demonstrate, आपको समझ नहीं आएगा. If we go to serverc.com, I'll just show you. Serverc is a hosting company that I usually have a contract with. इनसे मैं लेता रहता हूँ. बहुत सारे हैं. So इधर आओगे ना आप, तो कहेंगे we will help you find the best domains. So you can search for anything, like any, I don't know. You can search for anything right now, like anything. Obviously, I can't, it's not available. I can search for it, checking. Obviously, it's registered, but still we'll get some options.
सर ये बात समझ नहीं आई कि जो है आपने जो सर्च किया, आप क्या सर्च कर रहे हैं?
मैं ये सर्च कर रहा हूँ. Do you believe it? Anything.com is not available, but anything is available. Obviously, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि for example, you want to set up a new portal, a new website. Most of them have been sold, and I was sure कि anything.com available नहीं होगा. Obviously, if I type over is cucamongaphobia.com, वो तो available होगा. Any ridiculous word. But this is what we have to search. We have to search for any domain names कि वो available है कि नहीं है. If they're available, I would register for it. For example, I can say over here is Mr. Saim Tariq. कोई भी नहीं लेगा. It is definitely available होगा. Let's check. Mr. Saim Tariq, sorry. MrSaimTariq.com. Definitely. I mean, you won't find Saim Tariq, the name, anywhere. Mr. Saim Tariq का होगा. So Mr. Saim Tariq is available. The initial fee to register for this address is $10. If I order for it, I will pay for it. Once मैं order कर दूंगा, मुझे details देंगे. They will give me some space. Okay. The more space I want, the more space they will give me. If I host my website,
सर स्पेस का डोमेन है.
मैं order करके आपको दिखाया था. बल्कि let me discuss this with you. It's okay. क्योंकि जब तक आपको मैं दिखाऊंगा नहीं, आपको समझ नहीं आएगा. ओके, misstime.com 1 year के लिए मैं परचेज कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है. एंड hosting, let's have hosting. Okay, I want to have a hosting plan. Okay, let me choose my hosting plan. Okay, now see here. मैंने domain तो purchase कर लिया. Can you see that? I bought a domain. Now at the back end or back of this domain, what IP address I have, I don't know. I mean, I can use this. I can check it out afterwards, but I don't know. They will just allocate me any static IP address. I don't know. Magar is once you buy, for example, if you have to construct a house, first of all, you buy a plot. Your plot is your domain name. It's your IP address. But when you start the construction, आपने construction कितनी बड़ी करनी है? 1 story, 2 story. The number of stories that you construct are the number of GBs of data that you can fit in. आपके घर का volume कितना है? Are you making 10 stories? Are you making 1 story? So this is referred to your hosting. So if I choose a hosting plan, you can see over here that am I getting 100 MB space or 5,000 or 300? Oh, sorry, 300 GB unlimited. Wow! But you get free domain now. Domains are usually free nowadays. So even if you purchase this, you get a free domain, right? So for 12 months, for 38 months, or for 12 months, I'm paying what I'm paying over here is $26, in which I get the domain and I get 100 MB space. Are you following me? So our concept of these two terminologies, is it clear or not? What's a domain name?
और domain name समझ आ गया, उसका सर्वर मिला गया, मुझे ये समझ कि domain exactly होता क्या है.
बेटा ये domain है ना, मैंने ये जो परचेज किया है misstime.com, इसको domain कहते हैं. देखो domain package, क्या नहीं दे, domain package detail.
Hosting?
Yes, no. Oh,
the amount of space they give to you.
बेटा वो hosting होती है. The space that you give you is known as hosting. The domain that you buy is the address. आप एक address खरीद रहे हो. मैंने आपको भी explain किया है. Address ये तो एक alias आपको नजर आ रहा है ना कि हमें humans को समझ आ जाए आराम से. मगर इसके backend पे एक static IP address मुझे दिया जाएगा. Okay, and the server which will maintain all this domain will be the DNS server, the domain name server. The server that maintains the domains is known as domain name server. Okay?
तो ये server C domain name server है.
जी बिल्कुल. मगर नहीं, server C के पास बहुत सारे domain name servers हैं, सिर्फ एक नहीं होगा. एक से बात नहीं बनती. They have backups, they have multiple, they have lots of. Right? So practically
Google है, ये web server है.
जी web server है. This web server. Okay, so you can see whatever you want, you can purchase. So this is the entire concept of it. So practically मैंने आपको करके दिखा दिया. Anyone has any confusion? Because future में जाके this all will be connected. Any confusion? I like it कि जब you discuss with me, it's better. So you know what a domain name is, you know what a domain hosting is, and you know what a domain name server is. Agree or not? Practically मैंने आपको दिखा दिया. Okay, you get the point, right? Okay, file server and proxy server. File server obviously will be, let's say in a LAN network, you have a file server and where you can save the file. For example, Sir Khalil will give you your usernames and passwords. Or so आप अपने account में when you log in, आप जब my computer पे जाओगे, you will just see OneDrive Z. उस Z drive के अंदर you'll be allowed to just save 1 GB of data. Now 1 GB of data जब save कर रहे हो, it's being saved on the file server. अब आप कह रहे होगे, why is that so? Because this is the way it's maintained. For every user which is on the network, we give that user a particular amount of data that the user can save. So the server that allocates the memory for every client, this server is known as the file server. You get the point? I told you there are lots of servers. Some server, they simply maintain the user accounts of the clients. They are just known as your main servers. Okay? An application server loads and unloads the application for the clients. Okay? You also have is a print server. I mentioned here. You have a big lab and you have 300 computers and everyone is sending a printout. A printer cannot cater for all these clients. What you need is a server in middle that will do the spooling process. First come first serve की basis पे वो print out भेजी जाएगा printer को, so that the printer doesn't get stuck. Printer stuck क्यों होता है? Because we don't have a print server. Okay, so इसलिए अब scan की lab में भी I have asked them, well, they will have it. Okay, we will join again अगर हम 10 minutes बाद होता है ना. Okay, and proxy server. Can someone tell me what's a proxy server? Come on, please, anyone. इतना तो पता होगा किसी को. No one? Proxy server.
Permissions limit करता है कि आप क्या content put out वगैरह कर सकते हो और क्या.
Very good. Who was this? Who was this?
Aisha.
Aisha, very well done. बिल्कुल. Proxy server basically होता ये है कि ISP, Internet Service Provider, when you get in, let's say if we're talking about a LAN in our school की lab में, we have an ISP, Storm Fiber से connection लेते हैं, and then we give it to you guys in the lab, LAN में. So it just does not directly go from switches to you. No, we have to make sure it's filtered out. We have to make sure that viruses don't come in, malwares don't come in. We have to be sure that there are only limited amount of websites that can be visited in a university or a school or college. We don't allow all the websites to be visited. Now, this list of URLs that can be visited and is basically defined within the proxy server के access control list में. Okay, there is something known as the ACL list. ACL list is the access control list. Okay, which means the access control list is there inside, defined in the proxy server, that will tell you, okay, we will allow the following URLs to come in and will not allow the following to come in. So it grants the access actually. So that's why we have the proxy server in the middle, so that we have.
इनके अंदर वो वाले जो आपको allowed होते हैं या फिर वो होते हैं जो आपको नहीं allowed होते हैं?
नहीं, आप बिल्कुल आप दोनों कर सकते हो. बिल्कुल, वेरी गुड. उसमें टिक की ऑप्शन होती है. आप ये कर सकते हो कि जो आपने लिस्ट किए हैं सिर्फ वो ही अलाउड हो, या आप टिक कर सकते हो कि जो मैंने लिस्ट किए हैं इनके अलावा ना हो. वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. बिल्कुल. मैं आई विल इनफैक्ट जब स्कूल खुलेगा मैं सर्किल के कंप्यूटर में आपको दिखाऊंगा भी किस तरह ये होता है, क्योंकि प्रैक्टिकली व्हेन यू लुक एट थिंग्स ना, आप एक बात मानो कि प्रैक्टिकली एक बार चीज को देख लो, आपको वो कॉन्सेप्ट भूलता नहीं है. अगर मैं रैंडमली आपको एक्सप्लेन करूंगा तो आपको समझ नहीं आएगा एंड यू फॉरगेट इट. जिस तरह अभी आई जस्ट शोड यू द वेब होस्टिंग एंड ऑल दैट, आई एम श्योर यू विल नॉट फॉरगेट इट. एम आई राइट, ऑल ऑफ यू? राइट. सो इंशाल्लाह यू विल नॉट फॉरगेट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट्स. और अगर फिर भी नहीं आते तो यू डू लेट मी नो, प्लीज डोंट वेस्ट योर टाइम. अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा स्पीड अप कर लूं. हम बॉस स्लो तो नहीं है. This is what I do when I discuss topic. I randomly discuss things from random chapters. आपका इसमें फायदा होगा फ्यूचर में, क्योंकि आप याद करो उस तरह पहले हमें पढ़ा चुके हैं सब कुछ. Okay, client server architecture बात कर ली हमने. We have talked about this. We have talked about all this. So web server की बात कर चुके हैं. Now they've just discussed all this. Is के clients server architect, what is the advantage? Obviously, e-commerce, e-banking. Okay. These are all the advantages. These are the applications. You know what I'm talking about. How does the online banking and e-commerce websites work? Because there's a server that is serving all the clients, and all the transactions are there going there on the server. Yes or no? जब आप even आपके जो emails हैं, they are saved on Gmail के email servers पे. Okay, there's an archive list over there. So when anything is on the server on the internet, it's obviously coming from a server. End of story. You cannot have anything on the internet which is not coming from the server. Only one thing, which is uTorrent. क्योंकि uTorrent काम करता है peer-to-peer networking में. Do you have an idea what's peer-to-peer networking? One-to-one. Have you ever used uTorrent?
Yes.
Exactly. अच्छा, uTorrent में क्या होता है? Since I'm discussing, let me discuss this a bit with you. uTorrent में basically it's peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer means one-to-one. What am I saying? What is the network पे? How can you have one-to-one? I'll tell you how it can be. When you install uTorrent and when you search for torrents, और जब आप torrent ढूंढ लेते हो, आप torrent क्यों ढूंढते हो? मैं तो सबसे पहले देखता हूँ कि उसके सीडर्स कितने हैं. if there are more seeds, my torrent will be downloaded really fast. ऐसे ही होता है ना, अगर किसी के torrent 3 है, मैं क्यों use करूंगा? किसी के torrent 30, I will download it. Now, what do I mean by seeders? The more seeders you have, का मतलब है कि right over there, you have 30 other people on the World Wide Web who have this particular file. I'm downloading a file, कोई भी movie वगैरह, तो I'll get the bits and bytes from all these people. मैं थोड़े से bits and bytes लूंगा इस बंदे से, so 30 from computer से I'll take all the bits and bytes. This is why the speed increases. So sharing of files in peer-to-peer networking is done one-to-one के basis में, इसमें server involved नहीं होता. It's a very, very good invention, frankly done. मगर it's illegal in many countries. It's not allowed. क्योंकि many countries have a law that everything has to come from a centralized server, which is basically administered by the local government. So, magar, when you use VPN, when you use uTorrent, you're not following the law. Okay? आपको पता है VPN UAE में banned है, आप VPN नहीं use कर सकते. If you're caught using a VPN, you will be fined and jailed. You know what's a VPN, right? All of you? You know what's a virtual private network, VPN? Lots of VPN came in. कौन सा hotspot shield किसने use किया होगा? Remember hotspot shield? When I don't know, you were in which class that time? YouTube जब ban हुआ था पाकिस्तान में, this was around like 4 years back. People wanted to use YouTube.
Yeah.
तो YouTube किस तरह use हो रहा था? Exactly. That was VPN. Okay. So again, ये discussion क्यों वहाँ से वहाँ क्यों चली गई? Because I did not want to say कि every computer that is connected on the World Wide Web is definitely connected to the server. अच्छा, examination में when you use words, please be very careful about your choice of words. कभी ऐसा word ना use करना कि definitely it cannot be, okay? क्योंकि जहाँ थोड़ी सी possibility होती है, try to use the word may. If you're affirmative, only then be affirmative. क्योंकि वहाँ आप examiner को chance दे रहे हो कि वो आपका marks काट ले. You get the point? Okay? We will discuss this when we do the past papers. Bit streaming. What is bit streaming? Well, bit streaming का मतलब obviously ये है कि when you have data which is being transmitted by over the internet or जहाँ भी हो रहा है, bits and bytes are being transferred, उसको हम bit streaming कहते हैं. Okay? So bit streaming के लिए obviously there are two things that you should know. One is the bandwidth and one is the bit rate. Bandwidth basically मतलब क्या है? I'll tell you. Bandwidth का मतलब ये है कि for example, you have a Ferrari, but if I ask you that, you know what, you have to reach Islamabad on a Ferrari on GT Road, come on, you will not be able to even achieve 100 km/h. It's really hell. But if I say, okay, fine, you can use motorway and you don't have any speed limit, well, you will be able to reach, let's say, in 1.5 hours. You get the point? Because what I've done is, I have increased the bandwidth, I have given you a path, I've given you a pipeline, which you have a lot of broader place to travel, a much thicker pipe, a much thicker road. At the same time, I have also allowed you to travel as fast as you want to. So bit rate means the data transmission speed of bits that can be transferred is known as a bit rate. And bandwidth, when we talk about, is how much data, the volume that can be transferred. Did you get my point, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So bit rate and the bandwidth, both are important. Obviously, both are important. If you're watching HD movie on video on demand, you obviously need over there is a very good bandwidth and bit rate as well. The discussion over here basically refers to the following diagram, that why do we need a buffer? आपने YouTube में भी देखा होगा कि there is a buffer over there. Buffer obviously is important. अगर buffer नहीं आपके पास होगा तो क्या होगा? आपका you will not.
YouTube पे कहाँ buffer होता है?
बेटा हर एक में बफर होता है, बफर हर एक में होता है। वो डिफरेंस ये है कि बफर आपको शो हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा। ओके, यू माइट हैव सीन कि अगर इफ योर बैंडविड्थ इज रियली गुड, ओके, तो आपका बफर पहले ही आगे निकल जाता है एंड विदाउट एनी